Becoming a millionaire, it's a dream that so many of us share. But for those of us on a journey of faith, it can feel like a balancing act between spiritual and financial success. Can we truly follow God and still achieve financial abundance? Well, the answer is a resounding yes. God has given us wisdom through His Word, and if we follow it, we can achieve prosperity while staying firmly rooted in our faith. Today, I'm going to share with you 5 Bible verses that guided me on my path to becoming a millionaire. These verses didn't just change my finances, they changed my life. But before we dive in, I want to remind you to subscribe to this channel if you're new. This is a space where we explore the intersection of faith and personal growth, and I'd love for you to be part of this community. Verse 1, Proverbs 6:10-11, which says, "A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like robber, and want like an armed warrior." And that verse right there was a wake-up call for me. It sounds so simple, but let me tell you how it turned my mindset around and helped me become a millionaire. At first glance, it seems like the verse is just talking about sleep, right? But I started thinking deeper about it. It's not just about physical rest. It's about the little moments when we let ourselves get too comfortable, when we delay what needs to be done, or when we procrastinate, telling ourselves, "I'll do it later." That's the trap. It's in those little moments of folding your hands and resting that you lose ground. I used to think it wasn't a big deal if I pushed something to tomorrow. But over time, those small delays add up, and suddenly you've missed opportunities. I realized that while I was resting, someone else was working. While I was taking it easy, someone else was hustling. And I wasn't going to let those little moments of laziness keep me from achieving what I knew I was capable of. So I made a decision. Every time I felt like procrastinating or taking a break when it wasn't necessary, I remembered Proverbs 6:10. It became a kind of inner voice that told me, don't let this be the moment you lose your chance. And that constant push, that drive to stay active and focused, is what set me apart. While others were folding their hands, I was taking action. I invested in my ideas. I put in the extra hours. I stayed ahead of the game by keeping myself moving, even when it was tempting to slow down. In the end, that verse wasn't just about avoiding laziness. It was about being consistently proactive in my life. It was about making sure I stayed on top of things every single day. That's what built my wealth. Not one big leap, but small, consistent actions day in and day out that over time turned into success. Verse 2, Proverbs 13:22. "A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children, but a sinner's wealth is stored up for the righteous." When I first came across this verse, it felt like a revelation, reshaping the way I approached money. I had never seen wealth as something connected to righteousness or legacy in this manner. Growing up, I didn't have many financial role models. We weren't poor, but we lived paycheck to paycheck, never quite breaking through to financial stability. Yet here was a clear biblical principle. Wealth, when obtained righteously, is not just for personal comfort, but should extend beyond us to our children and even grandchildren. I began to focus on what it meant to leave an inheritance. It wasn't just about money, but the values and principles surrounding money management, integrity, and hard work. Over time, I changed my entire financial mindset, seeing it as a stewardship, not just for my sake, but for future generations. Slowly, this perspective allowed me to make more intentional decisions about investments and savings. Opportunities opened up, and I began seeing this principle's fruit. Verse 3, Matthew 6:33. "But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." This verse was a game changer for me. For years, I had been hustling, striving to build a career and secure financial freedom, but I always felt like I was spinning my wheels, never quite reaching my goals. Then I encountered Matthew 6:33. It reminded me that my priorities were misaligned. Instead of chasing after wealth and material success, I needed to seek God's kingdom first. So I made a shift. Instead of obsessing over business deals or financial opportunities, I focused more on my spiritual growth and living in alignment with God's principles. I started praying more, giving generously, and approaching my work with a heart of service rather than greed. It didn't take long for things to change. I noticed that the more I focused on God, the more things started to fall into place in my financial life. Clients seemed to come out of nowhere, business opportunities appeared, and everything just seemed to flow more effortlessly. Verse 4, Proverbs 14:23. "All hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty." For a long time, I had plenty of ideas, dreams, and aspirations, but I wasn't taking the necessary steps to turn them into reality.
This verse hit me hard.
I realized that talking about success wasn't going to get me anywhere. I needed to act. The truth is, I had been procrastinating, waiting for the perfect moment or enough resources to get started, but that moment never seemed to come. This verse pushed me into action. I started putting my ideas into motion, even when I wasn't completely ready or sure of the outcome. The result? Progress. Bit by bit, things started happening. Small wins accumulated, and before I knew it, I was seeing real, tangible results. That's when I understood the power of hard work. It doesn't have to be glamorous or headline-making every day, but consistent effort brings profit. Verse 4. 1 Timothy 5:8. Anyone who does not provide for their relatives, and especially for their own household, has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. When I first read that, it felt like a challenge. This verse isn't just talking about money. It's talking about responsibility, about taking care of the people who rely on you. It made me realize that being financially successful isn't just about personal gain. It's about being able to provide for your family, for those around you. It's about ensuring that your loved ones don't lack anything they need. I took that to heart. I knew that if I was going to fulfill this biblical responsibility, I couldn't afford to sit around and hope for things to get better. I needed to work, and I needed to work smart. I needed to build something that could provide for my household, not just for today, but for the future. This verse gave me purpose and focus. It wasn't just about becoming a millionaire for the sake of having money. It was about building a foundation strong enough to support those I care about. Every investment, every business move, every risk I took, I thought about this verse. It reminded me that wealth wasn't the end goal. Taking care of my family was. That drive to provide made me disciplined with my finances. I learned to invest wisely, save, and create multiple streams of income. I didn't want to be in a position where I couldn't provide or where my family would struggle. And it was that focus, that constant reminder from 1 Timothy 5:8 that helped me stay on track. So while I was building my wealth, I always kept this verse in mind. It became a guiding principle for me, pushing me not just to succeed, but to be responsible with my success. And that's a big part of how I became a millionaire, by seeing wealth as a tool to provide for those I love, and never losing sight of that responsibility. As you're walking on this journey of building wealth, I want you to remember something important. God has placed you here, with the talents, opportunities, and resources you have for a reason. Wealth is not something to be feared or rejected. It is a blessing and a responsibility. God wants you to use it wisely, to provide for your loved ones, to bless others, and to further His kingdom. Always keep your eyes on Him as your source. Don't chase after riches just for the sake of riches, but for the impact you can have in the world. Proverbs 10:22 says, "The blessing of the Lord makes rich, and He adds no sorrow with it." Let your wealth be a testimony of His goodness, and trust that He will guide your steps. If this message resonated with you, I want you to go ahead and drop this in the comments. I'm building wealth with purpose and faith. Let's encourage each other and keep our hearts aligned with God's plan. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. God bless you.